Meeting. Today's date is Tuesday, November 19th, and we're in the Warren County boardroom. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any agenda deletions or additions?
I would like to delete off of the consent agenda M to set the public hearing date for December 17th, 2024 at 9:45 a.m. for rezoning application submitted by Stephen Dorgeson.
And purpose to reschedule that or to eliminate it?
To reschedule it for in January. There seemed to be some unanswered questions from last night's zoning commission meeting, particularly of water source and water retention.
Okay. I have no problem with deleting that issue from the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Any other issues? Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve our consent agenda today, with the exception of item M as in Mary. And that is my motion.
Okay, second.
Can we get roll call? Oh, excuse me.
I'm sorry, we need to start roll call to see who's here.
Oh,
I apologize.
that's okay. We can do that real quick. We just need to get a roll call on who's attending the meeting today. So roll call for attendance.
McIntyre?
Here.
Peter?
Here.
Snell? Thank you.
Certainly. Okay, so we have a motion on the table for the consent agenda approval with everything there with the exception of item M as in Mary. And there's a motion on the table.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. Okay, the consent agenda is approved for today. The second item we have are our claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. Okay, the claims for this session have been approved. Item number 3, we're going to consider the resolution regarding the recount request from the Congressional District 1 candidate, Bohannon, with possible action. So we've had a candidate in our state senate that has requested a recount. I'll go ahead and read this resolution and we'll go ahead and put this on the table. This is a resolution ordering a recount of votes in the precincts in Warren County, which are in the United States Representative District 1. Whereas the Warren County Auditor's Office administered the general election of November 5th, 2024, which included precincts in the United States Representative District 1. And whereas the Warren County Board of Supervisors on November 13th, 2024, canvassed and certified the results of said election per the Code of Iowa. And whereas Christina Bohannon, candidate for the United States Representative District 1, properly filed a request for a recount of votes in United States Representative District 1 precincts in Warren County as prescribed by Code of Iowa 50.48. Therefore, be it resolved by the Warren County Board of Supervisors that a recount of said precincts be ordered and that the county auditor and commissioner of elections be authorized to conduct said recount as prescribed by the Code of Iowa. That's the motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. That resolution is approved. Next item on the agenda is to consider the approval of the following contracts for maintenance projects utilizing ARPA funds. We have 4, and if Zach could come forward and kind of go over these, if there's any questions about these, this would be the time to ask them.
Morning.
Morning.
So unfortunately, I only have 3 of those 4 projects with me today. I was unable to get a official quote for the Downing project.
Okay.
Okay, so is that struck off your list then?
Just for today, I'm
Oh,
still
table.
working, I'm just working on getting they have to come back, remeasure, and do an official quote.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
So on that list, I'll start at the top, is the Force and Associates. This is for tuck pointing, underground tuck pointing at the temple. There is some water penetration happening below ground on that building. And this would waterproof that side of the building that in the past we've had water seep into the building and cause damage. And that quote is for $14,828.
Say it again, please.
$14,828.
Thank you.
And that's being done by Forrest and Associates?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
No question. I don't have any questions
Oh,
on
no,
that.
I don't have any, thank you.
The following is for the door hardware for the Warren County Justice Center. We previously had electricity run to multiple different door entries to be able to add access control for safety at that building, and this would be the hardware to be able to make that electric that was run functional.
Hey, can I just stop for a second?
Yes.
Sorry, Zach, to interrupt you, and this has nothing to do, but we're trying some new technology, and Crystal, you can see that up on your screen, and
Yeah.
Michaela's kind of floating the packet through as we go.
I see that, that's
This
nice.
is an excellent thing that you're doing. It's helping me a lot in this meeting, and it might be helpful if we put it up there for the public, if we can, so they can track these documents and see what's
Awesome.
going on.
Thank you, Darren.
That's okay.
No, this is
No,
great,
not at all.
yeah.
But I think Zach's making a good presentation, and we're seeing the documents, but the public's not seeing the documents. So this will correct that.
Yeah, this is awesome, thank you. And,
Okay, so we were on the Doors Inc. item.
Yep.
So this would be to get the actual hardware ordered and installed. That would be the electronic strikes to be able to make that access control functional.
okay,
No questions here.
and that's for 17,730?
17,730.
Okay,
Next.
Okay, and then the final one I have is an Excel mechanical proposal for adding duress buttons at the annex building. This is again another safety item that would provide duress buttons in case of an emergency to be able to call out in case the staff over there feels unsafe or if there's an emergency.
This isn't
This
a
is
bad number
for-
based on some of the scenario. This isn't a bad number based on some of the scenarios that we were looking at for safety for employees and
Yeah.
panic buttons and duress buttons. I mean, we were seeing some really big numbers, so
Yeah, this
seems
is,
like a
luckily this is for one of our smaller facilities, so it's not as large of a cost.
well, what's the cost of safety? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Safety is always important.
Okay, so and you don't have your fourth item.
Correct.
all right, so we're looking at,
I mean, just for the public's benefit, we've been looking at our facilities for a very long time. These projects came through a process of what's a priority for the Board of Supervisors and what's a priority for the county. How do we think this is going to better the county? What kinds of projects are we going to do? So we've discussed these for a considerable amount of time, and these are the projects that kind of floated up to the top as having the most priority. So I don't have any questions relative to these projects and the approval of them.
okay, so the last one is the only one that is without tax, unless I read the others wrong.
Let me see. None of them should have any. Oh, I will have them strike that and have them and sign an updated one.
Okay, so it is just 6,500?
Correct. And
Okay.
they probably just forgot to mark that off, but I will get one that does not have tax listed and we'll sign that one.
Okay, so I have the grand total of your items requested as $39,058. Is that correct, or?
Looks correct.
Okay.
We can assume it's correct. Crystal.
Okay.
So a total of $39,058 for the three projects.
Yep. So do you need that exact amount or up to like 40,000? So there should be no tax on any of
There
these?
should be no tax on any of those. These are quotes,
Okay,
so they could have a small fluctuation on price, depending on the project, because some of these were quoted a little while ago. So I don't know if we want to do not to exceed 45,
okay.
just to make sure that we're on the safe side.
Yep, we can do that.
Okay.
So I have one question, and that is about the temple building.
Correct.
I know there's no inside insulation on the exterior walls are exposed. So is that something planned to do, or?
At this time, we're just trying to make sure that we're preventing water from getting into that building. We're currently assessing how much we are going to do on that building.
Okay, I got you. All right, thank you very much. I will make a motion to approve the following contracts for maintenance projects utilizing ARPA funds. Forrest and Associate for tuck pointing at the temple for $14,828. Doors Incorporated for the Justice Center security upgrade for $17,730. And Excel Mechanical for duress buttons at the annex for $6,500. That is a total of $39,058, and we're going to go up to $45,000 for any extras that may occur during this process, not to go over and exceed $45,000 for the maintenance department. And that's my motion.
I will second that motion. And can we get roll call, please?
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. That motion is approved. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
Other than that, the next item on our agenda is to consider the approval of Liberty Center North Pump Station Driveway Addition with possible action.
This is to create a driveway going from the road to our north pump station that crosses across a private property. In the past, we've had problems with disturbing the landscaping of that property for us accessing the pump station, especially in seasons like now where we have consistent rain. We are disturbing the landscaping of that property, and we're having to go back and fix what is happening, because what is happening is our truck, to be able to go do regular maintenance at that property, is creating trenches in the landscaping. And then we've also had other third-party vendors come out and do work, and they have very heavy-duty trucks, which are creating really big disturbances in that landscaping that we're having to fix. And my proposal is for us to do a small driveway from the road to that pump station to have a long-term solution for keeping the residents' property maintained.
Very good. And that's a pretty good price, I think, for concrete work. For, 150-foot access. So, all right, I will make a motion to approve the Liberty Center North Pump Station driveway.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. That motion is approved. Thank you, Zach. Next item on our agenda is to consider the resolution authorizing the facilities director, which would be Zach, to approve billing statements under capital projects and maintenance budgets up to $20,000 with possible action.
So this would be to help be able to speed some things up on some of our smaller projects. That would allow me to be able to sign quotes for things that have already been approved or have funding in our budgets. That way, we don't lose time on trying to go through the sometimes long process of being able to get projects approved.
I completely concur. However, I would like to see, obviously it's going to be after the fact, it put on the board agendas to be approved, just so the public has a good accounting of what we're using maintenance, dollars for. That has always been a big issue in Warren County, how we're taking care of our buildings. So I just want to keep that transparency. So I don't have a problem with approving this, as long as that's a caveat. So I guess I can make that motion. Okay.
I'd be willing to.
All right. I'd like to make a motion authorizing the facilities director to approve billing statements under capital projects and maintenance budget up to $20,000 to always be put on the agenda during that time. I don't know how to word this. I'm trying to think. In the quickest manner possible to not infringe upon. I mean, you're already doing it. I don't know how to, how can I word that, Ms. Auditor?
Let me ask for a point of
Okay.
clarification. Do you want the facilities manager to be required to come in and give a report to the Board of Supervisors, like incrementally, like two times a year, or 4 times a year, or 12 times a year, like to be able to measure what you're asking? Like,
Oh, no, it's just, like in our engineering department, everything is already approved in their budget, but they always make sure that they put it on the agendas just so we can approve their projects and the public has an awareness of the projects that are going on. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. So I don't know if
And that will be in the claims as he submit claims, so it will be in that claims packet.
I understand that, but to put it actually on an agenda, is a lot easier for the public to find and to understand. So
Okay.
it's not like I'm asking for anything above and beyond any other department, that is under scrutiny by our public. So I just want to be above and beyond transparency so that the public understands that we are taking care of our buildings and these are some of the priorities that we're doing. So
Just for my clarification,
Yep.
so just making sure that it gets onto an agenda okay.
just as soon as you can without impeding whatever you need to do. So you'll have the authority to make those purchases, but just make sure that they appear on our agendas, just, I'm not talking $1,000, of
Yep.
$500, but those projects that really do impact
Yeah.
not only the public, but the taking care of our buildings that the public would like to be aware of.
Understood.
So, yes, sir, thank you. Do you want me to reword that?
maybe, I mean, just if you could read out just what
Okay.
your motion is now based on
Okay.
what we talked about.
Let me go forward and try to do this. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the facilities director to approve billing statements under capital projects and maintenance budget up to $20,000 and as timely as possible to put it on the board agendas for approval as well.
Second,
Okay.
Okay.
and can we get roll call, please?
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. That motion is approved. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is to consider the approval of the fiscal year 2024 GAAP annual financial report with possible action. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning.
Good
So
morning.
this should look kind of familiar. You approved our cash financial, our cash AFR a couple of weeks ago, and that one is the one that gets published in the paper because we budget on a cash basis. This, I get information from our state auditors and it accounts more for like accruals, things like that. So the numbers kind of come straight from our state auditors, and then I enter them into the state form. This one doesn't have to be published, it just needs to be approved by the Board of Supervisors and put on our website, which has already been done.
Wonderful, thank you. And it's nice to still see you. I don't know.
Still here.
Okay. All right, well, I will make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024 GAAP annual financial report.
And I'll second that motion. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. That motion is approved. Thank you very much, Megan.
Yep.
Second item, or the eighth item on our agenda today is a public hearing for the fiscal year 2025 budget amendment. Megan will stay up here for this. We were kind of questioning if you were going to be here for this, weren't we, last week? So
Yep.
welcome and
Yep.
thank you for being here.
Certainly.
Thank you, baby.
So I'll make a motion to go into public hearing.
Okay, great, and I'll second that.
Okay, roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. Okay, we're now in a public hearing. And I'll let Megan present this, and then if there's any discussion by the public, we'll have that at that time.
So I'll just start, I'll kind of quickly go through what's on this amendment. We had discussed it at the work session last week. A lot of the expenses have matching revenues. For example, the sheriff, it's a grant, so it's adding the ability to spend the grant funds. So we're also amending the revenue for those grant funds. The two biggest items are for the engineer, and that again was so that we wouldn't be budgeting over multiple years. We would just amend the year that the projects actually happened in. And then conservation, we've got their large one is for that Woodland Mound State Preserve land purchase, and then the reimbursement. So there's that matching revenue again there. Got some increased technology costs for IT. The attorney, this won't affect any of our taxing funds. It's their ability to spend their fine fund for $35,000. Auditor, in case of a special election, to make sure there's funds in the budget to be able to cover that. Health services, again, this is another where the revenue should cover all of the expenses for a Thrive pilot project. And then these last four at the bottom are ones that, while I was reviewing our expenses, I'm recommending to amend. District Court is running a bit high, so I just want to make sure their budget doesn't go over. The treasurer having some more money for training, non-departmental pipeline expenses, and then in our general services department, we had an accrued audit expense. So just in case another audit expense hits us this fiscal year, we would have the funds. Looking at all of these expenses and revenues that I just went over, the expenses equal about 1.7 million, and the revenues are a little over $1 million. The net impact on the county is $736,355. Again, a majority of that being with the secondary roads. So 514,000 of that would be hitting the secondary roads fund.
Okay. Okay. Questions? Are there any questions?
I know we talked about this in the work session, but what was the increased technology expenses? Was that associated with the Tyler?
I don't know if it's Tyler directly or just that technology costs are going up. So what they had budgeted for didn't quite cover. I do think some of it is the Tyler conversion, possibly.
Okay, like additional training or something?
I don't know, but because I think more. I'd have to ask Matt to be sure, but I think it was more like costs going up, like the price of the same technology going up.
All right, excellent. That's the only question I had. Thank you.
Yeah.
And just so we understand and the public understands, the expenses that are hitting the engineering department that cause their budget to be out of whack this much are expenses that just aren't being covered from revenue that hasn't hit correct? This wasn't a miscalculation of budget. It's just a function of timing of revenue hitting our books.
So it's they have projects that span over multiple years. So it's just, we can either budget them over multiple years, or we can budget for the expenses we know are going to happen this fiscal year and then amend
Yeah, I hear you.
the current year when the projects actually do hit them.
Right.
Okay.
And just for clarification for the public, in the past, the engineer would, if there was a project that would hit 2 fiscal years, he would budget the entire amount in both fiscal years. And so therefore, it would create a deficit in our budget when the reality was we're only going to get charged one time for that instead of 2 times, which was the budget coming to us as a Board of Supervisor to approve. So that these budget amendments are they keep transparency within the engineer's budget because we know exactly how much he's spending at what time throughout the budget process. Whereas before, we would put the entire amount for that project in this year, and it might not complete until next year, and so therefore, we'd have to approve it again for the next year, and it just creates nightmares. So this is a much streamlined way of accounting for those projects. So thank you, Megan. Yeah.
Yeah, good comment.
Yep.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to discuss this budget amendment or have questions on it? I hear none, see none.
Anybody online, maybe?
Say again?
Anybody online, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, is there anybody online that would like to, is there anybody online, Michaela? Okay, good question. All right, so with no discussion from the public, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to go out of public hearing.
Second?
Okay. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. Okay, that is approved. We're now back in our regular session out of public. Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the FY25 budget amendment as outlined in our packet.
I will second that. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. Okay, the amendment has been approved. Thank you very much, Megan. The ninth item on our agenda is to receive and file reports. We may have a report from our recorder. Do you want to come talk about your report, Jordan?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Jordan.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
So we had an uptick in real estate. So we filed almost 100 more deeds than the month prior. We had several more mortgages. We'd had a huge uptick in passports. This month, though, we had a downturn in marriages. We're out of marriage season now that it's getting colder, but we're ramped up on renewal season for off-road vehicles, so that's kept us quite busy. Do you guys have any questions on the report?
No.
How are you generally doing in your department? You're getting settled into Warren County nicely. You've been here a while. Is there anything, any concerns you have for the future? Any trends you're seeing relative to what's happening in your department?
No.
Okay.
Everything is going really well. My staff is really busy. We were scanning all of our DNR records to get those online so that we have less just physical paper in the office in case something happens. It's at least digitized. So we're almost all the way through that project. And they're digitizing a lot of our card files, so that's digitized as well.
Okay.
Our project of digitizing the real estate records, the older books, that has been done. They're just working on getting those online. So as soon as those are available to us on the ARCA website, I hope to hold maybe some meetings here in the boardroom for the public to be able to come in so that they can see how they can search the ARCA websites to find their historical documents online too. So I look forward to that.
Great. Sounds really good.
Me too. That's neat. Yeah.
Any questions for Jordan? Or? Okay.
yeah.
Thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
Yep. And I'll make a motion to receive and file the recorder report.
Second. Roll call?
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. That is approved. Thanks again, Jordan. Item number 10 is the supervisor's report. I do not have a report for the public at this time. Crystal, would you like to have a report?
No, thank you.
Okay. Item number 11, this is the time in our meeting where we just ask the public, anybody in the public, any of our 53,000 residents to come in and say what's on their mind. So every meeting, twice a month, we have these public meetings for the public to express concerns, and this is that time for us to do that. So I'd like to make a motion, or is there anybody from the public that would like to address the Board of Supervisors at this time? Mr. Matledge, please come forward. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
Mark Matledge, 4293 Nevada Street. Over the past year, looking at the budget and everything as a citizen, and I had people present things to me. I was going to save this maybe for next month, but I would have more of a impact on it. But as such, What was presented to me was the disparity of how our celebration venues are assessed, okay? I have direct knowledge of this as being a lender at People's Bank. I saw these. Most of the venues that we have in Warren County are being assessed but as agricultural, okay? They are not agricultural. They are not agricultural in the loans we made them. They're not agricultural in regards to how the state auditors review them. However, most of these very extravagant buildings are being assessed anywhere between $60,000 and $120,000. They cost 7 figures to build, okay? Now, I'm buoyed by, I did see that the new St. James Celebration Barn has been assessed at a true value at $1.6 million, which is going to bring in about $43,000 a year in taxable benefits. The other barns that are out there, and I think the only thing agricultural with them is the word barn, okay? And so whether in the next 6 weeks or thereafter, I would ask that you consider asking the assessor as to why these are still being on the books as agricultural. And because now I think there's even precedent that if the St. James people finds out what the other people are assessed at and what they're paying, in much cases is like $1,500 a year, okay, for a $100,000, $60,000 building. But this is revenue we're leaving on the table, ladies and gentlemen. So that's my input. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great comment. Great comment. And there are some issues with the celebration venues, across the board relative to tax revenue and relative to safety and other considerations and zoning and, the amount of vehicles going out there. And there's some issues with that industry that we're aware of. And so I think those things will be discussed with the next board for sure. I know they're on our radar screen, but it's one of those things that I don't think we ever really, we were trying to get some things done and we were aware of it, but it's really going to be up to the next board to cement some of these things that we've been working on. So, but that's a great observation on what's going on here. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? Okay. With that, I'll make a motion to go out of the public meeting. What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we weren't in a
Yep.
public meeting,
Yep,
were we?
that's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
That's okay. It was just public comment, but
Is
yeah.
public comment, correct. Okay, so the next official board meeting will be Tuesday, December 3rd at 9:30 a.m. And with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. We are now adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we're right on time.
Right on time.
Yeah.